we're going to try out a very interesting device for those of us who like electronics. This is the FNIRSI LCR-P1, which is a multifunction tester that promises to measure everything. Resistors, capacitors, inductors, diodes, transistors, and MOSFETs. Well, it even measures the ESR value in capacitors, which is a very important parameter for determining whether a capacitor is in good condition. In addition to all this, it can also decode remote control codes, something I hadn't seen in other devices. All in one compact and affordable device. You'll see, I'll show you what it comes with, and you'll see that it's a really good price. This tester comes with a screen, color control buttons, and a 14-pin SIF socket to place the components. It also includes cables with a kind of clip to measure components that can't be inserted into the socket. For example, you saw that there are transistors of this type that can't be placed in the socket. However, with the clips, we can measure them. It also comes with a socket for measuring surface mount components. This socket comes with it. What you do is remove the SIF socket and put this one in its place. When you put it in, be careful because there's a notch on the side here. The notch must match the one on the socket used for measuring components. You place the component there, press it down with a plastic rod, and you can take the measurements. Among the main functions, we have resistance measurement, capacitance measurement with the SR, as I mentioned before. Very useful to see if the capacitor is in good condition. It measures inductance. It also does automatic component identification. It detects if it's a diode, a PNP transistor, NPN, a MOSFET, a triac, a thyristor. Very, very good. It even draws it here on the screen. You'll see it in action soon. It's amazing. It also provides some transistor parameters like HFE gain and threshold voltages in MOSFETs. Let's run some tests to see how it performs. We'll start with resistors. Keep in mind that other component testers have been used. The SIF socket that this one comes with has a very different pin layout compared to the other testers. To measure the components, make sure that each terminal of the component is on a different pin. Connecting pin 1 to pin 1 won't allow measurement. All right, we checked several resistance values. We see that it's working very well, right? It's working very well. Well, now let's move on to capacitors. In this case, when measuring capacitors, you always have to be careful to short the terminals before measuring. These testers burn out easily. I'm telling you from experience because I've already burned one. In the case of electrolytics, it also measures the ESR. Well, that's the point. Parameter, which is the equivalent series resistance, which is a very important parameter to know if the electrolytic is okay. There are some tables on the internet, like the one you're seeing here. These tables are for ESR for different capacitance values, and that we should check before deciding if a capacitor is in good condition or not. It also measures inductances. I've already measured this little coil in a more traditional way with a capacitor in parallel, and by measuring the resonance frequency, it gave me a value of about 25 microhenries. And let's see what value the tester gives us. Right? Very good. It also measures diodes. Let's put this little diode in. It measures it right away and shows the cathode and anode locations. Now let's also measure transistors. Let's put in some transistors. It tells you if it's NPN or PNP. It gives you technical values, like I told you before, the HFE. If it's a MOSFET, a triac, or a thyristor. Sometimes the components all have the same physical format, but they're different. For example, a MOSFET and a regular transistor, a BJT, sometimes they have the same package. Well, here you see this MOSFET. This is a triac, for example. They all look the same physically. However, here on the little screen it shows you, right? Another important thing about this meter is that it can measure Zener diodes. This is great because it measures Zener diodes up to 30 volts. You have to make sure to place the Zener with the correct polarity here between the K and the A in the SIF socket. And we press this button, which will turn red, and well, it will give us the Zener regulation voltage. Well, it also measures regular diodes, of course, as we saw before, and LEDs. Let's put one in, a LED. You see that it lights up momentarily. It also tells you the operating voltage. Finally, let's flip this switch here to test remote controls. All right, I have this remote control. Let's take a look at it. We press any button on the remote control, and you see that the codes come up. Two codes come up. The upper one corresponds to the type of remote control. It doesn't change no matter which of the buttons we press. And the code below corresponds to each command. So if I press different buttons, you'll see that the code below changes. Well, after trying it out for a while, my conclusion is that the FNIRSI LCR-P1 is a very useful tool for any electronics hobbyist. It's one of those tools that, while you don't have it, it's fine. But the day you get it, you can't live without it anymore. Honestly, it's amazing. The best thing is how easy it is to use, how quickly it identifies the components, the clear screen, and also a very, very affordable price. It's not an expensive instrument. Well, let's say it can't replace a professional multimeter. That's true because it can't measure voltages and currents. Anyway, it measures all the components, right? Well, if you're interested in this tester, I'll leave the link in the description. And if you like these reviews of electronic devices, remember that every Tuesday I feature some piece of tech. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and also comment about the product. And if you share the video, it really helps me out a lot since it benefits me a ton. Thank you so much for watching the video and see you next time. Goodbye for now.